Hi, my name is JC. I'm 22 years old and I'm from Arlington, Texas.
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing?
Yeah, so I wanted to get this interview from you, man, because you're a black man with only white friends.
That is right. I'm not very specific and selective about my friends, but they all just happen to be white.
How do you feel like you ended up with only white friends?
Um, just the luck of the draw. Honestly, I think I went to the same schools as them, and I gravitated towards them, and we've talked and all this other stuff. We were on the same sports teams and all of that. So those are just people that I just happen to like, grew up with, and end up trusting. And now they're some of my best friends.
What would you say is the difference between, well, let me ask you this. Have you ever had any black friends?
I have had black friends, yes.
Okay. So what would you say is the difference between black friends and white friends?
White, with my white friends, I feel like I do more stuff. I do. They're way more open to doing and trying new things that black people aren't really just open to trying to. I feel like with my white friends, we go out and travel, but with my black friends, I kind of just chilled out at somebody's house, or we just did the same things that we did every other day.
Do you, do you feel do you ever feel like excluded or like by yourself when you're just with your white friends?
I mean, every once in a while on the blue moon, there'll be something that happens, and then I'm like, well, this is just some the white people stuff right here that I just don't really get. But I don't really feel excluded. I just kind of feel like I kind of exclude myself from it sometimes.
Have you ever experienced racism dealing with them?
From my
Yeah,
friends.
from your friends.
Okay. Um, no, I haven't got any like true racism from them or anything like that. Now we've had some jokes here and there, like the stereotypes like watermelon and fried chicken, but I do the same thing with like coleslaw and mayonnaise. Obviously, that's not what we are, and we joke about that type of stuff, but it's never been anything like they called me a slur, and I never even called them a slur. So it's like, it just, everything is all jokes. It's never anything like too serious where I feel offended.
In the news right now, there's there's an incident that happened that was very terrible. The man was Nolan Wells, right? And he was a black man, and he went out with his white friends on a boat, and he never came back. Did you see that?
I did see that. Not too much into the news personally, but since that's something that's so like close to me and close to what I kind of experienced, I kind of tuned in a little bit. What I do say to that is there's kind of like a select group of white people that I've always kind of tried to stay away from, and that's frat guys. I really do think a lot of those frat guys are either secretly racist or openly racist.
Mm.
Um, they kind of just they're very like upper elite type of guys. So they kind of never really had to be in the area where they really dealt with a lot of black people. So a lot of times their first black friend is that, random guy in college that just happens to go there for some reason. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's a really sad situation because he went on to that trip with his friends that he could think he could trust, when really you got to be very careful about situations like that because they're all white and you don't really know them. Like, you never grew up with them fully. You probably don't know their parents. You probably never been to their houses, and you probably just met them in college. And no one there is going to advocate for you as a black man because they're all advocating for each other as white men.
Mm.
Now, I don't think they went out there with any malicious intent or tried to go out there and kill this boy, but something happened on that boat that could probably be considered manslaughter. And they were scared that they were going to go to jail for a long time. So the best they can come up with was protecting each other and saying, we don't know what happened. And then when they probably got back to shore and they got to talk to the police, they probably got coached up by lawyers and their parents to just keep saying, hey, We don't know what happened. We don't know where he is, but they probably already know what happened.
I'm very curious on your thoughts about Carmelo Anthony.
That's a really hard topic for me because on one hand, there's so much that they didn't tell you about that case, and then there's so much that they're trying to tell you now after the case is already done. Then you go in and you see how the parents act and how they treated this young black kid versus how they're treating this other white kid. Now, granted, Carmelo Anthony did kill someone. He should get time for that. Whether it's manslaughter, whether it's just full-on murder, whether it's the worst thing imaginable, he should get jail time for that. However, what they're doing and trying to push this narrative on that he's such a horrible person, he was a scared kid. So we cannot sit there and go, oh my God, he's a terrible person. No, he's a scared kid that didn't know what to do in the situation when people are actively trying to jump him, because there is multiple cases of fellow students, fellow teachers, and people even there at the stadium saying that he was about to get jumped. These are not good people, not good people, but good kids. They're just in a situation where it's really the law's word against everyone else's word. And right now the law is on the white man's side. Not saying that it's always on the white man's side, but it's on the white man's side at that time.
Do you believe in white privilege?
Yeah, there is white privilege for sure.
Do you believe in black privilege?
To an extent.
Okay, can you break down what you've seen in your life of white privilege and black privilege?
My number one thing that I've seen in white privilege is I have a friend who drives a Mustang, or not Mustang, my bad. He drives a Camaro, louder engine. He gets stopped by the police all the time, but he has not gotten a ticket from them. But if I was in that same Camaro and I driven around and I got pulled over, no matter how nice I am to that cop, I'm most likely going to get a ticket. And even worse, if I get pulled over again, I'm just going to go to jail. But my good friend most likely won't even go to jail at all. He might go every single time throughout his life without going to jail and getting pulled over every single time. But that is a big worry for me, that every time I get pulled over, there's a chance that I'll either get pulled out of my car and beaten, pulled out of my car and killed, pulled out of my car getting thrown straight to jail, or even the simplest of things, just getting a ticket.
What about black privilege?
I think that as a black person, every other race, or every, like, we'll stick to white people for now, but every white person just automatically thinks you're either cooler or better in a certain way, right? Now, dude, even the most racist of white folk will think that a black man is stronger than the average white man. So I think that we get a benefit of a doubt of strength and just being, I guess, the coolest person around.
Have you had a white person ever stand up for you?
Yeah, my friends.
Okay, give me a scenario where that happened to you.
So me and my friends were at a bar, and when we were at a bar, we were all sitting around having a good time, and this random other white guy just comes down and sits down and whatever. That's just kind of like a common thing in a lot of bars, is you sit down and you just talk with random people, right? So he's talking, we're all talking, and out of nowhere he says, nigga. So I turn, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna be cool about this. Because he didn't say it towards me, he just said it out. And I was like, all right, look, I can either start a fight.
How did he say it? Did he say it in a racial way, or he just said it like trying to be cool?
It just in a way that you would say it like a regular black person would say it.
Oh, okay.
You know, but he didn't say it as a racial way. He just said it. So I said, hey, don't say that around me. We're not cool. I won't even let them say that. Don't say that. Right?
Right.
You don't say it again, we're cool. Right? He didn't like that too much. But otherwise, it was all cool. So he still kept talking. We kept doing it again. Then he gets up, leaves. He says it again on the way out. So we had two of my friends, they charged them up talking about it. And then later we had two more of my friends who happened to be behind the bar that ended up kicking him out. And they jumped him, but we're not really supposed to be saying that, so I'm not gonna say what bar. They jumped him and they put him out because he kept doing stuff like that the whole entire time. But they defended me because they're my friends. They're gonna stick up for me, and they're gonna do stuff for me that I probably wouldn't just openly do and just let go.
It's pretty cool. Is there any stereotypes that you feel that are real for Black people, and any stereotypes that you feel that are real for white people?
So for Black people, I definitely say the average Black man just cannot swim. They cannot swim good. They might be able to save themselves if they get thrown into a pool.
Why do you say that?
So I rent out boats as a little side gig for myself. And whenever I have Black people come out there and they get into the water, they will never take off their life jackets. They can't really maneuver through the water. They're scared to get into the water in the first place. It's one of those things where they just don't really like being in the water. But you go and talk to these white people, and you go see these white people, they immediately go and jump in the water. They can't wait to get in the water. They move to the water very fast and easy. I just see it like white people just naturally, not even naturally, they're taught to swim very early, and they're just thrown into it, while Black people are not really put in the situation to go swimming all the time.
Have you got any backlash by the way that you sound or talk, being a Black man?
Yeah, I've definitely, someone goes up to me and goes, you talk white. And I've usually, when I was younger, I got really offended by that, because I was like, what is that even supposed to mean? What does talking white even mean, right? Now I just go ahead and just brush it off, because at the end of the day, I can't change how I talk, and I'm not finna code switch for a Black person the same way I'm not finna code switch for a white person. I'm gonna talk the same way I'm always gonna talk. But the person that judges me the most, I would say, are older Mexican men. When it comes to being Black and having white friends or talking a certain way, they judge me because they feel like I shouldn't be talking like that.
That's crazy that it comes from someone that's Mexican.
I know, it's very weird. It's not like a younger Mexican, but always an older Mexican. It's very odd, very weird to me.
Do you get into politics at all, or?
Not really. I've never really cared for it. I mean, the last person I would ever voted for would probably have been Obama, and after that, I don't like any of the candidates after that. So,
right. What about religion?
What's my religion?
Yeah,
Christianity. I'm Christian.
Right.
So,
when they talk about Jesus being a certain color, do you believe Jesus is Black? Do you believe he's white? Is that a thing?
Well, Jesus is Middle Eastern.
Okay.
Yeah, he's Hebrew, so that's Middle Eastern. So that's what he is. And the fact that he's neither white nor Black. So I think it's also blasphemy to do that, but we're not going to fully get into that. But no, he is not a white man. And all the depictions of him being a white man is just so ridiculous.
So when it comes to dating, do you date white women?
No, you grow out of that. But now I specifically only date Black women.
Okay. When you say grow out of that, what do you mean by that?
What I mean is that there's two ways that like a young Black kid will view, or a young Black kid who grows up and everybody tells them they talk white, and they make you feel like you're not really a Black person. You have two thought processes. The first one is that you're too nerdy and too white to date a Black girl. And the other one is that the Black girl is too mean, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like something that you're kind of fed, because if you're not around enough Black people to know, that's just not how everybody is. There's only a small portion of Black women who are even mean. And I wouldn't even say they're mean. They're abrasive, yes, but they'll also treat you very well too. So when I say you grow out of that, you get to learn more about yourself and your culture that if you're just around white people all day, you would never know.
So are you dating right now?
Yes, I am. I'm
Are you,
dating a black woman right now.
okay, so what's the best thing about dating a black woman?
Definitely say that they are definitely more caring than a white woman for sure, which is something that a lot of people wouldn't say, but I definitely say that they're a lot more caring. Um, and I don't like how a lot of white women are kind of like they're so it's like they're almost taught to just be of like a fake submissive, you know? Kind of like they're all about you and only about you, and they have nothing going on for themselves. And I don't like that about a woman. I like a woman who's going to be about what they want. So if they have goals, I can help them get to their goals.
Right. If you had a message to someone that's kind of going through the same things that you're going through, like you're a black guy and you're only being around a lot of white friends or whatever, what would you tell them?
I would say, um, don't if those are your true friends and you know that they care about you and you care about them and those are your friends that you really do trust and you've known them for a long time and they've never done anything to you that you made you feel weird or anything like that, those are your friends. Don't just lose out on friends because you want to feel accepted by people you don't know, right? um no one can tell you you're not black. You're black. The When you're born like this and you look like this, you're black. No one can take that from you. So the fact that other black people want to take that from you is so sad in their thought process that they need to think about that on their own and figure out why they even say things like that. So if you're a black guy like me who only had white friends growing up, it's fine. It's cool. Just understand that you are you and you got to stay true to yourself. So if you only want to hang out with those white friends and you don't like hanging with the black people, if you don't like hanging with other black people, that's you. So just be you.
I like that. What's the worst thing that's happened to you, and what's the best thing that's happened to you?
Okay. I'll start with the worst thing. When I was 16 years old, I had my first job at Top Golf. Whenever I was working at Top Golf, I was a guest services. So I would come up and I would sign people into the golf and get them set up so they can actually play the golf, right? So as I'm signing these people up, I'm putting in all the stuff, right? And they come up to me and they're saying, just like I'm trying to get up on them and that I'm trying to make them pay for extra stuff that I don't have to pay for. And I said, that's not true, blah, blah, blah. I'm just trying to help you out so we can get this done. And then he said, are you trying to get one up on me, nigger? I was taken aback. That was the first time I've ever been called a slur in public. I didn't even really think that was a real thing until that happened to me. I didn't think people actually did that. I thought that was something that you only see on the internet in like really rural towns that just, or maybe like on Xbox Live, like when I was a kid back then. But like, I never thought I would ever just hear that in public to me, like just from some random person. And the funniest part about it is that it was a Mexican guy. It wasn't a white guy that did this to me. The part that got me was whenever I called my manager, who was a white guy, I told him about it, the situation, and what he did, instead of, handling the situation by either kicking them out or doing anything to help me in the situation, he basically said, here's free golf, here's free food, and basically told me indirectly, these people are going to get rewarded for making you feel little and make you feel small about just being who you are for no reason. And you are going to get basically punished for it yourself because this is who you are. Wow. So it was one of those things where I felt very small and I felt like I had no hope in the world because these people can basically do whatever they want to me in this job and I can't say anything about it or I'll get fired. I'll lose whatever I have going on.
Man, I'm sorry that happened to you.
But the best thing that's happened to me was when I was probably about 15 years old. I got evicted and I had nowhere else to stay. I didn't want to leave Arlington. I didn't want to leave the school I was going to. So my friend convinced his grandparents to let me stay over at his house, and they let me stay over there for a while. And they basically, they fed me, gave me a place to stay, and they gave me transportation to school, and they were a really big help in keeping me, in a good mindset while I was going through so much of just losing your home, losing a place to even be comfortable. So I've always will thank them for, taking me in, and, they're white, of course. So I got to experience a lot more stuff that I probably wouldn't have got to experience because of them. And, I got to have multiple meals a day versus just having maybe one every 2 days. So that was a really big thing for me.
That's dope. Is there any quotes that you live by?
There's one thing that I would say is, if you're a black man, you're dealing with a situation where you're having to basically choke down the feeling to fight for whatever reason, right? For any reason against like white people, right? I always say, make sure the hill that you're dying on is snowy and in Japan. And what I mean by that is that the thing that you want to die on, or the thing that you want to defend so hard, you got to make sure that it's actually something worth defending, a good place to be at. You know what I'm saying? So whenever you're trying to defend yourself, don't go in doing something stupid and being reckless, like defending because you're going out and you're speeding, then you get stopped by a police officer, and then he tells you that you were going 20 over, and you didn't feel like you're going 20 over, you felt like you're going 5 over. Don't defend yourself on that. Just go ahead and just accept the ticket and defer it later. Because if you die on that hill is not something worth dying on. And you will literally die on that hill if you get aggressive with this white police officer. I'm just saying, always protect your image as a black man, and don't give them the black man that they want. Give them the black man that you are.
Yeah, that makes sense. Man, thank you for your time, JC.
Thank you.